And
Hello, we are live.
we are live, episode 100.
And I still have food in my face. How
It's okay. Quite all
are you
right.
doing, Matt?
Things are great. Things are great. I'm so excited to be here. Episode 100. I never thought we'd make it this far. So
I
uh,
know, I know.
uh,
This has
we,
been a wild ride, wasn't it?
it has. 3 years have flown by. We've had so many great conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and looking forward to just seeing some past guests today and reconnect with them. So
Yes, yes.
really excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Me too, me too. I must say that when we started this, before we started this, I knew people told me I have to do a podcast for personal branding, but I was like, I don't really listen to podcasts, so why would I do a podcast?
Right.
And it was then I met you
That's
on
right.
Product Coffee in the
Yes.
online group,
Yep.
and you told me, and we met and we spoke, and you told me you want to do a podcast, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then you said,
Yeah.
but be the co-host, and I said, oh, okay. And then you said, and I want to learn about products that we're using. I'm like, that's great. That's a great idea.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I really want to do a podcast, and I was like, I need a co-host, and
Mhm.
you arrived, stepped up, and it's been an awesome ride since then,
Yes.
and we've learned so much along the way, hopefully we've been able to inform people and educate people on different products in the space. There's so many. I think that was part of it. I was working in product, and I was like, what are all these products? Like, what do I pick, and what's better than this? And uh,
Yeah.
th- doing this has helped quite a bit. So
Yeah.
it's been a learning
Perfect. So we
experience.
already have some guests lining up, and I want to start bringing them up, to
Let's
the
do it.
show. We invited our past guests from previous episodes, so I'm just going to bring whoever is there. We can have up to 10 people live, so that including us. So I guess I can bring 8 people. We have 4 people already there, so let me bring them up. So the first guest is Kevin Hawkins, and he was talking with us. Hey, Kevin.
Hello, how are you?
We're good. We're good. One second. Let me bring some other people here. And just for everyone, Kevin was talking with us about user testing products, 4 of them, not just one.
Right.
Yes. And then let me bring to the stage Orly. Hi, Orly. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to congratulations on your 100th episode. It's a big
Thank you
deal.
so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And Orly talked with us about the name of the product, how to name our product, and like to be very concise about that.
Right.
And I have a few more people here. So we have Eva. Eva, actually, we just recorded a few weeks ago an episode with her, and her episode is going to be 102. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Hi, how are you? It's great to be here.
Good. And
Congratulations.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Great
Thank you so much.
achievement.
Are
What
you
a
in
day.
Berlin?
No, actually, maybe my video can freeze anytime. So I was just going to say I'm in a cottage in a mountain. You may
Nice.
have already heard some dog barking.
So enjoy your time there, and thank you
Practically,
for
yeah,
joining from
that just
all the
come and
way from
goes.
over there.
Yeah.
I would just
And
still
you,
like to come in and say hi and celebrate together for as long as my internet will hold.
thank you so much.
Well, thanks for
And
stopping by.
wait for episode 102 because Eva is using AI products to create a vision story or a vision video for her product, which is very interesting.
Yes. This is a lot of fun.
And then let me also add Magali. Hi, Magali. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. And you?
Good. And you're also calling us from Europe, right? We have lots of people from Europe today.
Yes, I am. It is it is 4 p.m. now on Friday, so I think that's it. It's the
Almost
weekend.
weekend for you.
I do have a last meeting at 4:30 p.m. Yeah, but
Very nice.
after that, definitely the weekend.
And Magali, you talked with us about in the podcast about AI tools for product people, how to
Yep.
use them and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
AI is a thing these days.
It's been a while now, but yeah.
It has been a minute.
David. Hey, David.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. Doing good.
Cool. And you're also calling from Europe, right?
Yes, I am from Munich.
From Munich.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And David, it's been a while since we talked with you, and you are now writing a new book about product management. You are almost going to release it soon, right?
Yes, yes. We are now on the proofreading step of the book, so probably releasing will happen somewhere in summer, like July, August, because of distribution. It takes quite a bit after you get to the last part. It's like around 4 months you get all over the place and then distribute it. It's been an experience. It's quite interesting.
Yes, yes. That's I'm looking forward to read it. I know that you're doing it with beta readers and getting people to read it. So I hope I will get a sneak peek into it and give you some feedback if you're up to it.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So Kevin, tell us where are you today? Because you're traveling a lot as well.
Yeah, so today I'm in Valencia. Normally I'm in Barcelona, but it's true. It's hard to keep track.
Yep. I think when we spoke, you were in Barcelona, I believe.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I think, Orly, you're the only North American right now on the call here from our guests.
Except that I grew up in Europe and in Israel
counts,
and have lived
right?
in lots and lots of
She
places.
counts,
So
exactly.
I feel like I belong, even
You're-
though I'm currently in the United States.
Right.
Yes.
You're grandfathered in or something, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know. I felt like I have to say that, or I was afraid you guys were going to kick me out.
No.
And Orly grew up in Switzerland, in Zurich, right?
No, in Lausanne.
Lausanne. I always mixed the two. Sorry about that.
I speak. Yeah, so I speak French, but
Yeah.
But I also was born in Israel and lived there for a few years, so I also speak Hebrew,
Mhm.
which is actually my third language. Yeah.
We might have some guests today also from Israel. I hope so. Well, we have a couple of them, but who knows, right? Very nice. So, who wants to go first? What's new with you? Tell us. What's new. Oh, I have another person coming in, and we can introduce them. Let me get Sumit, and Sumit is actually calling from. Hey, Sumit, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Morning.
Hey. And you're from
Welcome.
California, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There we
Okay,
go.
so another American here, or at least calling from the US.
Stateside.
And Sumit has a startup. We had him in the recent startup series that we did called ProdHub. Sumit, you could probably tell us the elevator pitch much better than I do.
Okay, sure. First of all, apologies everybody for joining in a little late. I had a little teenager meltdown happening in the morning.
No worries at all. This is like drop in and drop out whenever
yeah.
people want.
Got it. So I am founder and CEO of ProdHub.ai. ProdHub.ai is a product automation platform where our mission is to automate most of the mundane aspects of product management, all the way from writing PRDs to doing product discovery to writing user stories, use cases, and test cases. It's built on the core hypothesis that common repeatable patterns exist in every application. Yet product managers spend time, energy in recreating the requirements that already exist. So we are, through our own proprietary library, which is similar to the notion of GitHub, through our proprietary library where we have documentation around the common user stories and use cases, and through generative AI, we are automating the product management function. So that's effectively what ProdHub.ai does.
Thank you, Sumit. This is an elevator that goes how many floors? I'm just I'm just kidding here. It's okay. I'm doing a lot of helping startup founders in different mentoring startup founders in different accelerators. And I'm always like looking at these elevator pitches and stuff like that. So I'm always joking, how many floors do you need for your elevator pitch, right?
That's right.
But Kevin was the first one to get in. So I want to hear from you, Kevin. What's new with you?
Oh, I guess the newest thing is that I decided to stay in Barcelona. I've successfully hired my entire design team, but we are looking for a new VP of product and product managers. So if you know anyone, please apply.
Oh, very nice. So maybe our audience, whether they're live now or will listen to this or watch this later on, what's the name of the company?
It's a play on words. So we do hospitality software. The name of the company is Amenities, like hotel amenities.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I know that who is it? I know someone. No, I don't know if she will be here today or not, but she's in the hospitality as well as a product. She's a product coach actually, but she loves hospitality and travel. So she is a bit in the travel area. Is that related to travel as well, or is just the hotels or hospitality itself?
No, it's both. I mean, you guys know me. I'm always traveling. I
Yep.
worked at Booking.com before, so I want to get back in the game. So we are the heart, the software that runs reservations, discounts, payments, check-in, everything for small, medium boutique properties, as well as Airbnbs, villas, and so kind of the best places I like to stay in the world. We run their logistics operations.
Right.
That's
Very
cool.
nice.
And is that fully remote as well? Is that whole company remote? As you travel a lot, I know. So
I wish. No, I'm joking.
okay, okay,
We are 2-3 days in the office, but we are
okay.
very remote friendly. So I'm in Valencia currently.
Yeah. And what's new in the world of user testing since we talked last time? Is there any exciting stuff going on in that world?
Yeah, so right now Barcelona is hosting the Mobile World Congress. Obviously, it's kind of like our version of CES. It's huge, and a lot of things were based on AI this year. A lot of it specifically about turning hundreds and hundreds of video hours into very succinct summaries. That's gotten much better. But what's gotten really cool is actually using those videos to actually create the marketing content we use. So using real world, like real human language from research in turning it into promotion videos, marketing campaigns, and then translating it and having the words and the lips match. I've now seen 3 companies successfully do this with 100 videos, and it's getting pretty hard out there to justify, those 20,000 euro budgets to go recruit actors if they can do it in an hour.
Interesting.
There's a lot of AI on this call so far. So there's.
Absolutely. I think AI will be something everyone here will talk about today, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think so.
Try to avoid it, but you can't.
Exactly.
No.
And I put a banner over there for people if they want to watch or to listen to those episodes about user testing. Your episode, I think, is 80 and 81, if I believe, because you're talking to us twice in 2 episodes about 4 products. It's been in 2023, so it's pretty recent, in the last 6 months probably. So I don't know if there is a lot of new stuff that changed since then or not, but it's always interesting. It's very fast changing.
Yeah, 2 updates. Yeah, so Rally has a significant partnership now with usertesting.com, and usertesting.com has successfully integrated a couple of their recent acquisitions, and then Usability Hub rebranded and changed their name to Listna, and has actually improved the product significantly. So I would say some of the things I mentioned, or let's say complained about during the episodes, have been addressed.
Interesting.
Awesome.
That's very interesting. I know that eventually we will have to do some episodes to go back more in details on those products to see what have changed. I hope to have today some people that talked with us in the first ever series that we did 3 years ago about product analytics.
Yeah.
And a lot of change since then, for sure, right? So let's talk quickly. Thank you so much, Kevin. Let's talk quickly with Eva because you might be. I don't know. It still looks like you're okay with the internet and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So what? You sorry.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. That's great. And actually, we have a new person that came in, Tovit. Let me add her to the stage as well. She's waiting very patiently over there. Hey, Tovit, how are you?
Hi. Hello.
And Tovit is joining from Toronto. So, yay, the first Torontonian joining us today. Right now, we are.
Won't be the last, I'm sure. There are a lot of Torontonians.
Bring in a good.
And Tovit was talking with us about the story, how to come up with a story for your product and the importance of
First
telling.
episode of 2024, mind you.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And Tovit and Orly, you were last night in an event here for women entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, Yazamiyot.
Yes.
It's Hebrew for entrepreneurs.
Very nice. We'll talk about it later on. I see that. So I was talking with Eva just before I brought you into it, and so tell us a bit, Eva, if you've done any new. I mean, I know people have not listened to your episode yet, but we're excited about it because this is, vision video, or creating a video for your vision is a really cool way to tell people what you're doing and how you're doing, and creating that story behind it. Have you found new tools or new ways to do it since we talked?
Well, the news that the result, this vision video that's brought us forward about initiating so for the rest of the people, I'm trying to retire a legacy product. It's been on the market for quite some time, a couple of hundreds of B2B customers using that. So this video really helped us push this forward internally. But now I'm kind of stuck with the implementation, let's say deployment. And people always say like vision strategy without deployment is nothing. So yeah, if you have any recommendations about deploying internally, especially handling the strong current that is against you for retiring such a product that everyone's so familiar with, I'm all ears.
There we go.
Let's see, maybe Magali or David has some ideas for you. David is very, he writes a lot about, product. He's a force to be reckoned with, in the world about, writing about these things. What do you have any recommendations for Eva?
It's quite interesting. If we're talking about vision, generally it's one of the things that get lost very fast somehow. I don't know why. So we had a chance of meeting actually in Hamburg. I was asking for her help there.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's a bit funny. But when it comes to product vision, one of the things that I noticed is quite important is to be able to picture that. It's not only about the words, it's about seeing what that means, what that enables, and something like this, and then to use it and to make it alive. What I like using is when we are doing roadmap planning, let's bring our vision here and let's be serious about it. Let's ask a simple question. How does this item get us a little bit closer to the vision? If it doesn't, let's get rid of that. So if we cannot use the vision to make this decision, it means that our vision is not helping us. It is something just for the sake of having it. So that is one thing, using the roadmap. But then it comes to the day-to-day, because roadmap might be every quarter or so on. I like using on the planning, no matter the framework you use, there will be certain level of planning. Maybe you decide what to do for the next 2 weeks if you use Scrum or something. So put your vision there and say, let's ensure we don't derail from this thing. And the other aspect is on product reviews. So say, this is where we want to be in the future. So that's what we did to get a little bit closer to that. And if this thing starts getting mechanic and you see that actually whatever you're doing doesn't contribute to the vision, then it's a sign that you need to tweak the vision. But it's about using, make it clear and use it. So, but don't be so worried about the wording, but be more worried about the meaning behind it, the vision. Marty Kagan, for example, recommends having it visually, like a video of a customer in the future showing what it enables a customer to do. I like that. It requires more investment, but it makes the meaning more clear.
Yeah. Great. Does that help, Eva? And I'm actually jealous that you guys met in person. I know I'm everyone from Europe, they're always meeting each other, they're always traveling, and it's so easy. Here in Toronto, I feel like I'm very isolated, and I only meet the people that are here. We have great people here, but the world needs to be smaller.
Right.
Let me bring into the show. Sorry, Eva? You're saying?
I think there's latency with my audio. All good.
Okay. I'm just going to bring. I have another guest waiting here, Gil Broza. Hey, Gil, how are you?
Good. Hello.
Hey, welcome, Gil.
Welcome,
Thank
Gil.
you.
And Gil was with us recently with a new book that he published. Now I have a blackout for the name of the book, even though the book, Gil gave us a couple of copies to
Deliver
give
better
away.
result.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Deliver better results, and it's a great book. I encourage everyone to actually read it. It has it's very interesting actually because it has a bit of I'm reading now Transformed by Marty Kagan. In Canada here we got the book quite early, and I got it last week already, even before Marty got his book, and which is very funny. But the Transform is also talking about transforming an organization to become product operation model. And he explains all of that about it. Gil's book is also about transformation, but in a very different perspective. It's really, really interesting. So I really encourage everyone to read that. So welcome, Gil, to the show. We're talking with people that came in, through before. So we'll see. We'll get you to talk shortly. Okay.
No problem.
Perfect. Magali, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I was just checking the time because I got to go to that meeting in 8 minutes, but that's more than enough for me to share updates.
Thank you. Thank you for staying. Thank you for staying with us and being patient here. This is the first time we're doing something so big like this, so I'm really actually excited also about just doing this, right?
Yeah.
So how is your podcast doing? Because I remember that you reached out to me when you kind of started the podcast. We had an episode in the past that we did about tools for product people that are doing podcasts.
Yes.
We had a few people on that episode. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I haven't reached the 100th episode, so that's why I'm quite impressed. Honestly, I don't think people realize the investment in a podcast. It is the barrier to entry is very low. You could record a podcast episode with just your phone, but doing it consistently every week or even every 2 weeks, finding guests, preparing for the conversation, doing it, all the editing, the publishing, the marketing, the posting, it's a lot of work. So I just want everybody who doesn't realize that because they don't have a podcast to just acknowledge that and say, this is an achievement. So well done, Matt.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
That.
And what did you learn in the process?
That I'm not surprised there are companies dedicated to creating and running podcasts.
That's right.
But I've got to throw it now in the mix. Thanks to AI, it has become much easier. I've actually very much enjoyed trying out a few different tools for recording videos as well, instead of just doing audio, and also editing, because now they've all added, their own little touch of AI, and it creates episode notes automatically, even like the title for the episode, even like social media posts and all of that, which I'm not always super happy with, because do I really want to post something AI generated on social media? But honestly, it is revolutionary, everything that's happening in terms of new tool, thanks to AI. So that doesn't mean, if people are listening and the guests here, do not launch your own podcast. That doesn't mean you should do that. It is still a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but because when I looked at competition, as we do as product managers, before we launch a product, right? A podcast is just like a product. There are 70 at least other podcasts in English language about product management.
There's a lot out
please do us a favor and do not launch your own. Like, we've got enough of them. Let's do a partnership or something.
That's right. That's right.
And we actually just have Jason Knight talking about podcasters for podcasting. He just in the back room, so I'm going to add him. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks.
So Jason was the one that actually inspired us also to start, and we talked with him about it, and he gave us a lot of advice
early on
about how to start a podcast. So thank you for joining us today. After
So this is all my fault, is what you're saying.
It's
This
all
is
your
my
fault.
Started it
Absolutely.
all. I think you warned us, though. You might have warned us. We didn't take the advice, though. But
Great power comes great responsibility. How is
that's
everyone?
right. Doing well.
Yeah. And I put the banner in there about episode number 43. This is the one where we talk with Jason and Tracy and Aram about podcasting. So if anyone is interested to start their own podcast, check out this episode. One last question for you, Magali, because you were talking with us back then about AI products for product managers. Did you find a new one that is your favorite?
I think a lot of tools have included AI now in their offering. It's not about finding the new tool. It's about using the tools you already have and leveraging the functionalities that they've added. One of my favorites, which I know you've got an episode about, is the ClickUp, which I know we all use Jira and stuff, but I do have something for ClickUp. I find it super user friendly, and they've added a lot of AI to that. I would say that now I'm lucky to be in a big company who has got a GPT, like a subscription to GPT. So we've got our own access to GPT-4. We also have our own bot in WebEx to use GPT. So that makes life much easier as a professional, because I can't really put strategic data into the OpenAI version, but on this one I can really get the most benefits. So I would encourage all the leaders out there. I think it has to come from you to get some subscriptions and potentially implement the API version, the enterprise version as well in your company to help your product managers and everybody else.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, we spoke to you almost a year ago, back on March 8th, I guess. So, a lot has changed over the past year. So we might have to do a episode 2 about all that.
ChatGPT already has a first year anniversary. Well, what's going on?
But yeah, I think it did launch around last spring. The version 3, I think, did. So
yeah, I mean, it feels like it did change the world.
Yeah.
What it didn't change is that I still have to go to that meeting, because ChatGPT is not going to do that meeting for me yet.
That's right.
But it was nice to be with you all. I may join later or not, but very nice. And again, congratulations.
Thank you so much,
Magali. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Thank you so much. Take care. And Orly, you were waiting really patiently over there, but we don't see your camera on, so I'm not sure if you're still there. Oh, here you go. Oh, and we can't hear you now. You're mute? I think you're mute.
Sorry. I got this panic text from a client. I'm like, oh, God, I just...
okay, no worries.
A link, you know how that goes. It's like,
no worries.
So wait a few minutes, but anyway. Hi, and again, congratulations. It was really fun chatting with you guys on our episode. Which episode was ours? I can't remember now what number that was.
97.
97. Okay.
Yeah.
Lucky 97. Lucky number 97.
Yeah. So quite recent. We definitely had a very interesting start of the year, or the last episodes, because originally it was all about product and the product that people are using. And that's what we did. We had series about each one of them. And the idea was that we don't know all of these products, so we need to bring people that do know them. We don't want to talk with the companies behind these products, because we don't want it to be a marketing spiel. So we said we will bring people that know about it and they used it, and they will tell us the good, the bad, whatever it is. And then between those series, we had these feeler episodes with point of views. So Jason, we got you to talk about APIs, product manager APIs, and what to do that, and what's special about it. When you were working back then, I don't remember the name of the company, but it was API product. David, we got you to talk about mind mapping as a tool, right? So this was our feeler episodes. And recently, maybe more people are reaching out to us, because it was very hard for us to find guests sometimes.
Right.
But now we have people just come up with and pitching ideas like, let's talk about this and let's talk about that, or should we talk about this? And I think the last almost 10 episodes. It's all of those one
great conversations,
filler episodes. Yes.
Yep.
I got Ross Webb joining us. 1 second. Eva, I'm not sure. Let me check if I have enough. I will bring you back in. Yes, I think we have enough. Here we go. Hey, Ross, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, the show. Always good to see you, Moshe. Always good to see you.
Same here. And Ross was also in one of those filler episodes where we were talking about the product success scorecard with Ross. So there is a lot of many different frameworks and tools and books, and that's what we talked with you, Orly, about naming the product. Because when I met you before, I was like, oh, you really are keen about the names, and you told me this is a good name, this is a bad name, this is. I'm like, let's talk about that, right?
Yeah, and it was, it's interesting because I don't usually talk about names. I usually talk about messaging because that's my lane, and specifically elevator pitches, which is funny because you were talking about this a little while ago, and I actually even have a workshop that actually is happening next week on how to develop your pitch and do that in three sessions. And we should probably talk about that offline because I have some thoughts. But in terms of naming, what I have learned is that so often people come up with a name before they actually understand what the name is supposed to represent. So, identity, the corporate identity, your brand identity, that's the name, the tagline, the logo. And each piece has a purpose in helping people remember your product or company. And so often the name gets changed. And I gave the example of Nike, they had another name for 10 years and nobody remembers it. And so anybody want to guess what it is? Well, you guys already know because I
don't even remember something with the ribbon.
Right, it's so bad. It's so bad that even when I tell you,
forgettable.
Blue ribbon.
Yeah, it was called Blue Ribbon Sports.
Here we go.
That's right.
And interestingly enough, Nike was actually the name of their breakout waffle design shoe. And that's what they called it. And so then it became the name of the company. And that often happens, that the product is actually more interesting and more appropriate name. And then people go, oh, gee, maybe we should call it that because everybody loves that name. And, Nike is the goddess of victory. So Greek goddess of victory. And, what a great name for a product that ends up on Olympian athletes, So anyway.
So talking about AI, do you think AI tools will replace also this so we can name our product with an AI generator?
God, I hope not.
Is there a tool already there for that? Does anyone?
It probably already is.
No, I mean, so here's the thing, and this is just how I use AI. I mean, I absolutely do use it, but I use it more for inspiration. Like if I'm kind of hitting a wall and I'm not quite sure where to go next. But I do not use their suggestions because they're, at least at this point, it's still very pedestrian. It's not creative, but it's a great way to kind of break out of your own head and go, oh, here's a different direction I can go.
Yeah, it doesn't have all the context right now that our human brains do. So
even when you give it the context, it doesn't necessarily.
Right.
So it's still early days. I imagine, then I'll have to find something else to do once AI takes over.
But I can tell you that if people listen in, thoroughly to our podcast, they will know that Matt and I has this big tension about adopting AI, where I'm very much like very late adopter. I'm resisting it as much as I can.
Yes.
So
I'm fully in the matrix, I think. So
yeah.
And
exactly.
as I recall, Matt, you said that we're talking about naming that you hated Chat GPI, right?
Chat GPT. Well, yeah, I just didn't. It didn't roll off the tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. But yet, because it was first, sometimes you have the benefit of being the first to enter into a new market, and so it just took off because the word chat is in there. Yeah. It's easy to remember that. But yeah, it's it's such an interesting thing. I mean, look, people were whining and complaining about the internet, about the computers, about iPhones. I mean, we'll get over it.
That's right.
That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Moshe and Matt, hey, happy birthday. I wanted to
thank you.
connect something to what Oli just said. The thing with names, I think people fall in love with them. And then it's really hard when you have a great product and market fit to stop and say, well, but this is, I don't know, this is Nike. I mean, that's my name. That's the name that I was born with. And it's the same with finding your unique value proposition. It's really, really hard because you have to throw away everything that's who you are, everything that made you who you are. That's what you think it is. But then it's pivoting, and the name has so much meaning. That's part of who you are. Falling in love with an idea, sometimes a name, sometimes a package, a color, a brand, it's dangerous. And we need to start or try to kind of cut the cord and be independent and bring new ideas. And another thing I just wanted to say that my connection with AI. So recently, and I'm a former journalist, and I have stacks of notebooks that I love writing, and I always hold my pen when I speak with people. Sometimes they're stressed, and sometimes they love it. But recently, I started using a note taker, like the AI, and I'm just I have no words. The ability of taking notes and coming up with better summaries within milliseconds is just amazing. So I'm out of work there, but I love that someone else is taking care of that. I don't need to spend 5 to 10 minutes after each meeting. I don't have to space the meetings. At the end of the day, everything is there. And it's amazing. I read how they summarize, how they make the action items. Love it. So anything like that keeps the creativity on my end and takes all the great things and redundant, that's amazing.
So maybe the first people that need to worry about their job is the virtual assistants.
But they're virtual.
I don't know. And I know, Ross,
you're virtual, Moshe.
Yeah. But Ross, you're using some virtual assistant very efficiently.
Well, firstly, I got fired from my job where my wife's first language is Hebrew. So I used to help her with her her English and do stuff, and now I'm no longer needed for that job. So there you go. So I've already lost one job.
Well, call it a job or call it an errand or call it whatever it is. So
I called it having insight to what messages were going backwards and forwards to the school. But but hey, I guess it's so. What were you saying
about virtual assistants? I mean, virtual assistant is not in general, something that we product managers use a lot because our job is much different. But when we are business owners as well. We sometimes do have the need for that, and maybe AI is going to replace that. But it's a bit off topic for us because it's not core for product management, right?
I can talk about AI and product management. When I was at Amazon, my role was to apply the Amazon AWS LLM to all the network automation tools. So as a product manager, that was my role. It was a principal product manager, but I was lucky enough to have 10 teams to do that with me. So I've done a lot of AI in product management. But and also just managing. I'd be interested to get Jason's thoughts on this. But like for all my YouTube channel, all our scripts that we'll interview someone. We'll take out a transcript. We'll get the highlights of that, and it takes us from a 45-minute podcast down to about 12 to 15. And I think that's one of the reasons it's allowed us to grow from our subscriber base, which we're coming up on 50,000 pretty soon. So
Yeah, and while we were talking about this, Sumit put in our comments here something really interesting. Sumit, I see you asked ChatGPT for names for product management podcast, which was really interesting what it came up with. But it all seems like you could read some of them, but it seems very generic.
Generic is the keyword, though, right?
Yeah, I just added the keyword. I think the format didn't come through, but they are basically different names here. So Prod Mastery Trail, the Launchpad, Insightful Iterations, Feature Flux. I think that's how it needs to be read. It's just the format didn't come through right. So we're just kind of reading off of the conversation that was going on. Like, can somebody come up with names? And I think it's just like there are a lot of applications out there that will look at like, what is the vision? What are you trying to do? What is the problem you're trying to solve? And synthesize that into a name, right? And there is something to that. I mean, even before GPT, there were applications out there that were putting, like, even if you go like GoDaddy, right? Like, if you have become a name generator, it kind of looks at like the SEO benefit of it. It looks at like what is the keyword reach of it, right? So there's a lot of like science behind the naming itself, not just from a branding perspective, but more from like technical aspects as well. Like, how do you get the reach out there and all that? I think GPT just gave the easy button. So I was just laughing off of the joke that was just mentioned 5 minutes back.
Yeah.
That, hey, there's an AI for that too.
The problem is, though, this is just an awful world, though, and I use that phrase guardedly, but like it's this whole point around like you can see all these people these days online. Oh yeah, here's a thing you can put 5 words in and it'll write you a book. And it's like, well, brilliant, great. That's not a book I want to read. And there's some post that wrote about how someone had kind of come up with some optimized format to automatically write LinkedIn posts and it would all come out. It'd be SEO optimized. And it's like, I don't want it to be SEO optimized. I mean, I understand that SEO is important, but I want it to be optimized for me. And I guess whilst I use ChatGPT daily for one thing or another, mainly for just spitballing or sense checking myself, or like I never use it for content, my own content. Like I write all of my content or podcast questions and everything else.
Same here.
All myself, because like the way I see it these days, especially where like everyone's a thought leader, it's almost like there aren't actually that many thoughts to lead with. Like there's not like how many actually different things are there to say about, for example, product management. Like if you scroll down on an average day, any LinkedIn post timeline wall, whatever you call it, like you're going to get 25 things about OKRs and 10 about strategy and 15 about how you got to focus on outcomes or whatever. And it's like, okay, great. I get that. And these people all have their own journeys and they're all like finding stuff out and sharing things, etc. The only thing that I've got to contribute to that, above and beyond just repeating the same stuff, is basically my personality or lack of. Yeah, but that's my angle, right? So like offloading that to something like ChatGPT is like my worst nightmare. And to be fair, I've done experiments. I'm like, well, okay, ChatGPT, write me a LinkedIn post about this sort of stuff, and it comes back. I'm like, that's awful. I'm never using that again. So like again, different people get different things out of it, and I also appreciate that I'm in a privileged position as a native English speaker. There's loads of people around the world that are using it to kind of communicate more effectively because their English isn't their first language, and they use it as a way to kind of clean themselves up. Brilliant, fantastic use case. But when it comes to creating content, or even when it comes to summarizing stuff, I think to the original question for like podcasts and stuff, I write my summaries myself. Like I listen to the podcast whilst I'm editing it, and I write down notes, and then I type those up afterwards. Now, does that make me a Luddite? No, I use automated tools where I can to clean stuff up, and I use automated transcription and stuff like that. I'm not going to type the whole thing up, but when it comes to things like summaries, I'm still very old school. Even with editing, most of my editing is not like whatever it is, the script or whatever like that. Like most of my editing is done by hand. I go and clean it up myself because I know that if I listen to it back, and I've done it, I've tried it, you listen to it back and there's always that thing that you would have cleaned up that it didn't clean up. So then you have to end up re-editing the damn thing anyway. So what's the point? You might as well do it yourself. So I'm kind of riding the line between being a Luddite and trying to use it for the things that like are most effective. And again, for me, for example, been doing a lot of strategy work recently. So just throwing a strategy into a ChatGPT and asking the thing to poke holes in it, fabulous, like brilliant. Yeah. It's brilliant at that sort of thing. Now, when I look at the results that it comes back with, do I think, oh wow? Well, no. Like you look at it, every single thing makes sense, but it's still a great way to kind of get the best of yourself and use the tools to kind of check yourself rather than as a replacement for yourself.
Right.
I've just done that with a proposal to a conference. So I wrote a proposal, I iterated on it, my wife sat with me, and then we figured, okay, like we can't anymore.
Yeah.
So then I put it into ChatGPT. And it came out with something, and she's like, her jaw dropped. It's like, it does that?
Yeah.
But once I actually looked at what it wrote, I realized it was mostly buzzwords and SEO, but not actually good stuff. And the one paragraph that was actually good actually took a different angle from what I was going to say. So it was good, but not for the intended purpose.
Yeah.
But still, it kind of helped resolve the blocking.
Yeah, and then that's where writer's block. Writer's block is where I see a lot of that coming up.
Yes. What I'm really curious about is to see what happens in a few years when those models continue training themselves on all the junk they had produced.
Yeah, exactly.
Prior,
100%.
right? The recursion problem, right? And then we'll see what happens.
So there will come more self-prediction?
Hang on, just look at Google's share price in the last week, right?
Yeah, yeah. Google's had problems this past week.
Yeah. So let me ask Sumit, because you're in that place right now that you're building a product that is using some AI there to help us with our mundane work as product managers. How do you plan to overcome this challenge?
Yeah, so our goal, and I think we set the expectations right off the bat. And I think it's a very interesting conversation, Jason and Gil, the points you mentioned, I think are very insightful. And maybe we're not doing a good job of expectations. And I'm starting to realize that. So when we start with that, we say, look, we will automate your PRD for you. But in the same sentence, we also say that automation does not mean 100%. What we will do is we'll give you a good first draft. And what we're trying to accomplish there is that we're trying to take the mundane stuff out of your way. So for example, if you come and give me a product vision and say, hey, I want to build a healthcare app that manages stress. That's a pretty decent product vision. And we say, okay, great. Who are you? Well, I'm a product manager. What industry is this? In healthcare. Great. And given me product vision, I'm going to create a PRD. But remember, it's a first draft. It will not give you all the specifics. It will talk about the functional requirements, talk about non-functional requirements. And then on top of that, we give you the option to edit it, enhance it by adding more context. How do you add more context? You start searching. Okay, give me competitors. Okay, give me X, give me Y, give me Z, right? And from there, you start going from a first draft of anything to something that is more specific and more contextual to you. So we are positioning ourselves as a good helping hand. We never claim that we have all the answers. Our core hypothesis has been built on automating common repeatable patterns, and that's what we're going for. So from there, if you go to the user story, same thing. We capture the edge cases, we capture the null scenarios, we capture the most common use cases to save you 50% of the time, right? I think we're starting to see that initially there's like I think Gil, as you mentioned, there's like, oh my God, like this is like, I could have spent weeks doing this. And then we see like, wait a second, like it didn't capture that, it didn't capture this. And then I'm like, wait, but you didn't give any customer data. Like it has to have to get to the specificity. Like we need to fine tune this data, and that can only be done when we have customer data into our system, right? We never take any customer data, right? So there's a little bit of a pull and push, right? If you give somebody a blank screen, they're totally okay with it. It's okay, great. I'm going to start writing my document. I'm fine because it's my original thought. I'm putting my time into it, and they're fine with that, right? Which has been a very frustrating point for me. And we're like, wait a second, you're okay with a blank slate. You're okay with putting all the time and effort, but you're not okay if you get a helping up to say 50 to 60%, right? So there's a little bit of like this whole tussle that's going on. I want automation, but then it doesn't do everything for me. I have to go spend the time, effort, and energy to refine it, revise it, and all that. I might as well do it on my own, right? We have customers who literally told us that, right? Like amount of time it'll take me to refine it and make it custom is more, and I will take the liberty of doing it myself, right? So it's a struggle. I think there's some people who like love it like that and like, oh my God, like just saved us 50-60% of my time. And there's some people who struggle with the notion of what it can do. I guess the expectation that the bar is too high at this time, that if you give me an easy button, give me everything, right? And we're like, oh wait, I don't know, I'm not going to claim that I'll give you everything. We cannot.
But
I think I saw some wheels in everyone's heads turning there, and so everyone in their turn. What do you think about that?
Go ahead, Jason. Yeah.
I mean,
I heard you say something. Yeah.
Yeah, no, mine's a fairly brief one, and I'll try and keep it punchy. But I mean, I completely trust your judgment and your motivations, and like all of the things you just say make a lot of sense. I think, but what worries me about the like tools like this isn't the fact that they exist or that they can be helpful, because they clearly can in the right hands. What worries me is that you end up with people that don't do the work, and they just, like you say, they push the easy button, they get the thing out, and that's it, they're done. Like, and I know that that's not what you're intending, but that's the like some people are going to do that. And
that
for me, one of the
challenge.
Pardon?
That might be the biggest challenge there.
Well, yeah, but and for me, like and yeah, you're seeing this with like copywriters and stuff already getting laid off because they think that like ChatGPT can write some copy. And I don't think that the companies that are doing that are necessarily making good decisions, but it's a natural kind of temptation, right? And I think that for me, part of the big benefit of either doing the second pass that you talked about, Sumit, or the second, third, fourth, fifth passes off of the basis, or just doing it all yourself. It's not even the fact that it's grindy work that you did yourself. Yeah, sure. But it's the things that you learn while you do it. And that's one of the reasons why I still kind of encourage people to, you know, sit down and do some writing on their own, is because like I've written strategy documents in the past, which I'm very sure no one ever read, or they maybe skimmed or whatever. And like I look at that and think, oh well, that was a waste of time. Like but then you look at it and you think, well, but what did I find out while I was doing these things? And you can do that with AI. You can get AI to tell you some stuff, and then you can read the stuff and you can refine it and send it back and give you some more stuff. And then if I could trust that everyone in the world would do that like that ideal use case, I would be all over that. It'd be brilliant. And for someone like me who still wants to do some of that work, I'd be more than keen to use it as I do with ChatGPT to test things and help me out, and especially for pictures for slide decks. That's the best use case I've found so far, like just fake cartoons for slide decks. But I'm always worried about people using it as an excuse to not do the thinking.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly add?
Yeah, go ahead, Sumit.
Sorry, just responding to Jason. So we literally had this exact feedback from a product executive. He is the chief of product officer of the organization, and he looked at like our product, and note that like we don't just run off of a GPT. We have our own proprietary data. We have context, and we have all the stuff in there too. He looked at that and he was pretty impressed. You could tell from the reaction, and then he basically said the most non-obvious thing that I could never have imagined what he said. He basically said to me, "This is too easy." I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean this is too easy?" He said, "I'm worried that my PMs are not going to put the time, effort, and energy into reading it. They'll simply hit the save and pass button." I'm like, "Wait, so what are you telling me?" He said, "Add some friction to the product." And I'm like, "Well, that's so opposite counter to what a product should be. Like, it should be seamless, right?" He said, "No, I want you did the part, but then I want my PMs to sort of like put a review, like, are you sure this is what you want, type of a thing. And even if it's at friction, that's okay. But I want them to pause and read it and then maybe add something to it, because then only it becomes an official document, right? Otherwise, it's just like they got something, they made life easy, put the save button and go, right? So it was such an interesting feedback that I got. It was very insightful. So just kind of, Jason, just wanted to add that color to the.
I just want to pause here 1 second, because we have a new guest coming in, waiting in the back room. This is an amazing discussion, because, and I wanted to continue that because I feel that this is almost became like discovery session right here. So just hold your thoughts over there, and I will bring Faith. Hey, Faith, how are you?
Hey, Faith, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Great to see you.
I'm happy.
Faith has been a big supporter of the Product for Product podcast. She always loved us, and she always had kind words to us. And she was on the show talking with us about Lucidchart and how she used Lucidchart for wireframing. So that was a very interesting, way to use Lucidchart for something that usually you don't use it for.
Episode 62.
Welcome to the show. And let's go back to that discussion, because I know that I saw also the wheels turning in Gil's head and in Ross' head. And it's a really interesting discussion over here, because we're talking all the time about AI and about how it helps or how it doesn't help. So what the risks that are created. And I feel that, Sumit, your product is right there in the middle of these things about what's the balance that we can create. And you probably, like you said, you've heard it from other people. It's not the first time you're hearing this.
Yep.
So maybe I can
go. Yes, go for it, Gil. Yeah.
Okay, so you had me talking with you about system thinking, right? So what are the consequences of our actions? Anytime we give people an easy way out, an easy button, a done for you, an outsourced, a this and that, they will take the easy way out. Now, sometimes that's great and it optimizes everything and saves time, and nobody has time to begin with. Sounds all good. But then what happens? So I want to think what happens to us as a profession, as an industry, as a society, when we take away all of this work. And what I think will happen, and I'm sorry, there's a lot of noise in the background. I'm particularly worried, and in the context of my kids who are now in university and kind of need to build themselves up, what are we doing to people if we're taking away the learning portion? We think we're taking away the working portion, but we're taking away the learning portion as well, because nobody gets to practice. Nobody gets to look at something and say, okay, what did they learn from that? Jason, that's exactly what you were saying. Now, all of us, we are old enough to have amassed this experience and this knowledge, but the younger people, they get the shortcuts. And now that they have the shortcuts, they're not going to make the mistakes that they will learn from. They're not in a position to evaluate what the bot gives them and say, oh, this is good and this is not great because they haven't built it up. That's what worries me. And Sumit, I think even if you add friction to the product, it's just going to make people mad and not actually going to help. Because they will go to a competitor who has less friction because it saves them time. And it's always this belief that that our work is just labor. It's just hands-on time doing stuff. You know, before the bots came along, 15 years ago, back when I really started being independent, this company came to me and said, well, we need your help being more agile. I mean, that's really the use case. What were they doing? They were building a product that would reuse requirements. Sounds very similar to what we're talking about here. It's like you've built something, you have a set of requirements, now you can reuse them for the next thing. And I'm thinking like, but they're not the same. What are you going to reuse? The add, edit, delete? Really? Is that what you're going to reuse? And now we're doing the same thing with automation, and it worries the hell out of me because nobody's going to learn and nobody's going to innovate either.
I think there is a bit more than add, edit, and delete. I've been almost every product that I build, we spend days and days and weeks on the login and the authentication and the a lot of things that other people already solved in the past. So I think there is a bit of things that could be much more automated than what they are today. We're just spending too much time on some of these things. But I also, on another experience that I have, I started teaching this year at MBA program here in York University at Schulich. And right now it is forbidden at Schulich for the student at York University for the students to actually use ChatGPT or generative AI. And bye, Jason. Thank you so much for coming. And sorry, I didn't have a chance before to say goodbye to other people that left, but we had people that are coming in and out. So for our guests, for our viewers over here, don't be worried that some people disappeared all of a sudden. This is we ask the guests to come in for as long or as short as they want. So in the university right now, ChatGPT as a rule is like you cannot use it because they have to understand how to deal with that first. And there is an actual working. You have to go also, Sumit. Okay.
Yeah, I have a meeting that's coming up at 9.
Thanks,
so
Sumit.
Thank you so much, Sumit.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And let me just finish that sentence because we have another person that is in the waiting room, and probably there will be more on the hour, a few other people. But in general, there is a big work group or study group or whatever you call it of people throughout the entire university that are talking about this, looking into tools, looking about what can be used, what should not be used, how to grade people, there are different areas that are related to that. So it's a very big thing in the learning, like you said, in the learning aspects. But I'm really glad that you brought these points, and I hope Sumit, will take it as another data point. Let me add Ohad over here.
Yep.
Hey, Ohad, are you on camera?
Hey,
Here
Ohad.
we go.
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you
Good.
again.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. And Ohad is, you're calling from Israel right now?
Yes.
Okay,
Quite
so
late.
hopefully everything is good with you and it's quiet.
Thank you.
Ohad is he was also in one of our recent episodes about the
93.
startups. Which number was it?
93.
93.
Yeah.
Talking about Bagel, and
Yep.
Bagel
Yes.
is the company that he founded and he is the CEO of, which is a product. Maybe you give us the elevator pitch, like we let
you go.
Sumit before. And I'm warning you. I'm measuring the number of stories you are going up in this elevator. So it depends on the length of your.
Yeah. So the elevator pitch is that we developed a product intelligence platform that is basically the glue between product and go-to-market teams in order to help the company to accelerate revenue. So how do we help go-to-market teams work better with the product to influence the roadmap, to move the roadmap towards more revenue-generating features, towards what customer really want, and then follow up and have this visibility on what's being developed on the product side to actually delight customers and turn that into business opportunities.
Very nice. I think that was a medium-sized building.
Well, they're building taller in Israel now, right?
Oh, there we
go. Yeah, in Israel and also over here in Toronto. You just can't imagine. Like I've heard recently that Toronto actually has the biggest number of cranes in one city over the world.
Yeah, it's been like this for years now.
Yeah. Like every time I go downtown, I don't work downtown anymore, but we have an office. So once in a while I will go there and I go walk around and I see a new building that I never seen the time before. Thank you.
Apologies, Moshe. I'm like keep losing you. I don't know what's happening with my network.
We see you okay. You seems to be okay right now.
No worries.
Yeah, no worries.
Kick it over to Faith. I know Faith hopping in. I appreciate you coming. We looking back at episode 62, so like halfway in our journey, nearly halfway in our journey, a little over. But how have you been this over the past? Let's see, we talked like September of 22.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I just want to congratulate you guys for just to start with, because did you even think when you started this journey that you would get to 100 episodes?
No,
I'm curious.
gosh.
Like, what did you think the trajectory might be like when you started?
Honestly, yeah, but we didn't even think about even going 5 to 10. I don't even know if we even set a mark of getting to 100. So
thank you, Gil.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Gil.
Bye.
Yeah. So I don't know, Moshe. I don't remember. I don't remember ever setting an actual goal. I think the whole purpose of this was to have fun and see where it takes us. And it's taken us, and maybe that's helped elevate us to 100. So,
I told the story in the beginning of the show before you came in how maybe I will tell the story again. When COVID started, I was really worried about my job that I would lose it, and I already lost 3 jobs before, so I was a veteran in losing jobs, and I was really, really worried. So I was like, seeing on LinkedIn at the time that people are building their personal brands. And I was thinking, okay, I have to build my personal brand so people will know me. So if I lose another job, I'll be able to reach out to some people and have a good network. And then while I was doing that, people told me, you have to have a podcast. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't listen to podcasts myself. Why should I have a podcast? And I didn't know anything really about podcasts. And then in parallel, after that, I met Matt on Product Coffee, which is a group of product people that are meeting regularly, and they're from Atlanta. They also have physical meetings, but they have online meetings. And Matt and I never met in person yet. We still have to do that. But this is how I met. We met, and Matt told me he wants to do a podcast, and I'm like, okay. And then he said, and I'm looking for a co-host. And then he said, and so I told him, oh, I don't mind being a co-host because I didn't want to start it on my own. And then he said, yes, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, you moved into product management around that time or just before that?
Yeah, I'd already been in it. Been in it, but I was going through the noise of all the different products,
right?
And trying to figure out like what is best to use. I'd already been using the mainstays of Jira and Confluence and that stuff, but yeah, I was just like, there's just so many different things out here, and I thought it was an interesting thing. And I love podcasts. I listen to podcasts on a daily basis, and I'd always been like, I want to do my own. I want to do my own, but can I carry a show by myself? And so I hadn't done it. And then Moshe and I met up, and I
love the idea to talk
it.
about products. Yeah, because I actually looked and implemented a lot of products for product people. So that was really, it was always interesting for me to compare them and to see what they do and how they do it. Because I also learned a lot from them about what works, what doesn't work for me, and therefore I can take it into my own practice, building my own product. And I always was jealous with the product managers that were working for those companies, because I would give them feedback as a product manager, and I'm like, every client that they have, every user that they have will give them feedback, because it will be easier for them to get feedback because they're product managers and they know how hard it is to get feedback from users. So so that was the thing over there. And so we never really thought where it will go, and then we just kept at it one episode at a time.
We started it, and there's so much that goes into the sausage making of all of it, that we learned along the way. I listened back to episode 1, and I don't cringe at it quite like I used to, but it still is kind of like, okay, we were pretty, we were getting started, microphones and recording, different methods of recording. So we've learned a lot along the way, and really having guests, like the both of you, really help elevate the show and really motivate us to keep moving forward.
Well, and starting with that buddy system, kind of makes it easier to, like Thelma and Louise right off, or maybe we'll say Butch and Sundance, whichever you prefer, right off that cliff. So, I'm curious, how has there been anything? What has been maybe the most surprising thing that you've either episode or product, or just what's been a real surprise to you over this journey?
Interesting.
You didn't think you were going to
becoming the host, and we are the interviewees. I like that.
I think the sheer number of products, we already kind of knew. Well, speaking for myself, I already knew there was a lot out there, but even taking the lid off of different areas, as product managers, design, product, engineering, all the different tools that are out there and that you get your hands on, just the sheer volume of stuff that's out there. Startups like Ohad, there's so many things out there, and that's hopefully what we're trying to clear up, but we can't cover it all. And so Moshe and I are always, it comes down to the guest who's able to speak to us, who's able to record, but there's just so much we can't cover still. And so just the sheer volume of products is what always continues to surprise me. And new things coming up, new startups like Ohad, Bagel. And that's something that's really stood out to me along the way.
Yeah. To me, it's a really good question. I love finding the startups that are coming in. Oh, we just lost Ohad, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
I hope he will come back. He said that he has some internet issues there. But I think that was part of that. Oh, we have a comment there. Oh, so good to see you. Oh, perfect. Oh, he said I have to drop off, unfortunately. Okay, no worries. He probably has something going on. But yeah, I think that... Oh, he's back.
Back.
Okay, let me get him back. Ohad, are you there? I'm not sure. Okay, we'll see. I think part of it was also, maybe it wasn't very surprising, but it's always coming again and again that not every feature is being used and how much the products are being used or utilized or not, which kind of means that the companies that are building them are not always really looking into our users going to use it. And this is a bit surprising for products that are aiming at product people. You would think that they will have this product management discipline, straightened out, but maybe not, right? So that may be one of those things that sometimes surprises me. But yeah, like what Matt said, that's probably up there as well for me. The sheer volume of products. Every day I'm finding new products and I'm adding it to our lists.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for us actually is to find guests to talk about this product. So that's I don't know if it is surprising or not. I'm used to it right now, but it's probably the hardest thing to do. Right now, we are looking into the next series of products for surveying products. And that's actually one of the, I'm looking for guests to talk about different ones, and I'm not there yet. So that's one of those things. Let me bring in Jackie. She just joined us.
Hey, Jackie.
How are you?
Welcome.
Hi, guys. Happy 100.
Yeah,
thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Episode 99.
Big day.
I was really hoping to
You're
have
welcome.
also Andrew Miller here today because he was our first guest and you were the guest for episode 99, Jackie.
Yes.
I wanted to confront the two of you and see how does it feel, the first one and the last one.
Right.
But he sent me a message today that he got really bogged down by work, so he's not able to join us, unfortunately.
Okay, well, he'll be here for the 200th. We'll talk to him.
There you go. There we go.
If we still have energy to do it, then for sure.
Yes. We need to get him back to talk about some stuff. Yeah, it's been a while.
And we had lots of other people that came to the first hour. So I hope you have time later on to watch it and see the other people that came and talked. We had some really interesting discussion about AI tools. And it became almost like a discovery discussion there for one of the guests. So that's an interesting one.
Oh, good. Well, I just came from a meeting with Marty Kagan, who might be coming up for y'all.
That's coming soon.
Episode 101.
I literally just left with him.
Thank you. Yes, yes. Episode. I actually posted it this morning on my LinkedIn that we're giving away a few things for people that are coming to as guests today. So actually, whoever is listening to us, I hope that I'm not really sure how we catch the people that are viewing. The numbers are also fluctuating, and there is people on YouTube, there are people on LinkedIn. But people that are watching us today, please send us a message to Matt or myself. Let us know that you have watched us. Maybe we should have put like a secret code, so they tell us the secret code and therefore
that's right.
The secret password, exactly. Because Jackie donated 10% off of her Product Coach Academy course that is coming up. Thank you so much for that, Jackie. And this was the episode that we were talking about last time with you. And Gil donated two copies of his book. We talked with Gil before in the last hour, and we are donating a copy of Transformed. So we really want people to come over. Okay, let's see. Someone is
love it.
Yes. Okay. Cool. We have Tracy also coming in. Let me add Tracy.
Hey,
Tracy.
Hey,
how
Tracy.
are you? Welcome.
Hello. Nice to see you all and some new faces.
Yes. Same here. In the previous hour, we had a lot of people from Europe. This was like the last hour of their day, and we also had some from the US. But I see it right now. We have a bit. Someone is just saying secret password is AI.
There we go. Yeah.
That's Richard.
We just had a good AI conversation.
Yes, I love that, Richard. Thank you for that. Yeah, maybe that will be. Maybe it will be too easy. Everyone will say, "Oh, AI." That's
AI. That's right.
Or Open Sesame AI, right?
Well, welcome, Tracy. Tracy, two-time guest, three-time guest. I can't keep track.
3 times.
Was it 3? Yeah, 2 or 3.
Wow.
Yes. Can't get enough.
Yes.
we have a few people that are very prolific guests. They love to come to our podcast. So Tracy talked with us about what was it? Let's see.
Google Optimize.
Google Google Optimize while it was still a product.
Yes.
Right?
It was still around. Yep.
And then user testing.
Yes.
And that last episode, I was just recovering from COVID. So I was having coughing fits every 5 minutes on the episode.
We made it work though.
We made it work.
Yes.
It turned out great.
Exactly. So that was that. And the third one was an episode we talked about before, actually, in the last hour. We mentioned that about podcasters' tools, the tools for podcasters, because you were a podcaster as well at the time.
Yes.
On one podcast, and then you were on another podcast.
Yep.
A2B.
Yes.
You're not on it anymore, right?
No. I co-founded it and co-hosted it, but yeah, I left in November to focus on my growing CRO consultancy.
Maybe Maybe you will go back and then invite us to your 100 episode.
Maybe. Yeah. Message Shiva because he's calling all the shots right now.
Yeah, he's still running the show, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it will be Shiva. I don't know if he will join us today or not, but experimentation and A/B testing, that was one of those things that were really exciting for us to talk about. And since then, Google Optimize were obsolete, and Shiva came to the show to tell us about what to do, or about the imminent. This was before when it came down. And
Google Analytics, yeah.
What is your favorite product these days for experimentation?
Me?
Yes, because you cannot use Google Optimize anymore.
Yeah. My favorite is Convert. I love their support team. I like the product. It's a very accessible price point for my clients who are just getting started in CRO. So yeah, I have a bias for Convert, but there's a lot of good tools out there.
That furthers my point of there's just so many tools.
Yes.
That point I had a second ago, like this is something new now that I need to look at. So
is this a new product that we didn't talk about back then, or is this a renamed product?
It's not new. It's if you look up Convert experiences, you should be able to find it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think
Googling.
VWO gets a lot of the hype.
We're Googling now.
Yeah. Optimizely gets a lot of the hype.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I think they're a bit of a smaller team.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to you, Faith, what is your current go-to tool for wireframing that we talked about?
Wow, I am still using Lucidchart. That's still
awesome.
My fallback, and it ends up being kind of the easiest thing for me because often, unlike a lot of people who are maybe dedicated user experience designers or UI designers, I'm doing everything end to end from research to to sort of feature vision and and then working down into like what it should be. How are we going to express it either in the context of our existing application or as a new standalone product or feature. So for me, it's that continuity because I already will have been creating other kinds of diagrams, and it's just the easiest thing to add a tab and then start with lo-fis in the same place, or create like user flow diagrams that are punctuated with little lo-fis or screenshots that I've annotated or whatever. So that's still my go-to. There was one, gosh, I should have looked this up before we came on because I should have known you were going to ask me. There was one I tried recently, and it was interesting, but it just didn't quite do it for me. And maybe while you guys talk, I can see if I can look it up because it was kind of an interesting tool. I'll put it in the chat. I'll see if I can find it.
No worries. Yeah, I can tell you that I've been through wireframing a lot recently with the initiative that I have Products for Good. I don't know if you have heard about it or not. I can send you the link after if anyone is interested. But I'm always going for simplicity. And I know Balsamiq is a simple one, but I actually don't use Balsamiq. I love using Miro. So for me, Miro is the tool to
Balsamiq,
go.
that brings me back.
Yeah, Balsamiq.
Well, Balsamiq is great. I know it's great, but I for some reason I kind of like living in Miro, so that's what I told my team to work with, and then they were like, "Oh, but we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do that," and I said, "Okay." So, and then they wanted to move to Figma because everyone is like using Figma. That's the first word that comes out of people's mouth when they are talking about design, but this is just my personal view, and usually on the podcast we're trying not to give any personal views about or promote any specific products or bash any specific product. But I always felt that Figma is a bit too complex for wireframing, and it's a bit too complex for product people to learn unless you are a designer. So it's a bit kind of like, yeah, that's what you're seeing as well.
Yeah, I would say like every designer I work with or meet obsessed with Figma, obviously. But I mean, I just pulled up Balsamiq. I didn't even realize they were still around. It looks exactly the same as it did like 10 years ago.
That's right.
But it's
That's
simple,
right.
and I used it,
It
and I
is.
would probably be able to use it today still.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is
From a
because
non-designer background.
Oh, okay. I read their vision of the company, and they write it very specifically on the website that they want to do only one thing very good.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things we always talked about. Do you need a product for each thing that you do and it does it very, very good? Or do you need one product that does it all that you can, but it's not the best in specific areas, right? And I think it's a personal decision at the end of the day. Maybe that's why I like Miro, because with Miro I can do whiteboarding, I can collaborate, I can do tables, I can do all of my brainstorming, I can do mind mapping, I can do many different things. So why not do also wireframes, right?
And that's another good point. What Faith, the question you mentioned earlier, like what's something else we learned along this way is, some tools are just really focused on being great at that one thing. And then some diversify, like ClickUp. ClickUp tries to do a bunch of things where Balsamiq's trying to be really good at one thing. We see that with A/B testing, experimentation, and it's really interesting how they come up with that product strategy, and then trying to find the product market fit, and how they just take those different approaches. So to further on that question you had, I that was something that really surprised me as we dive into these tools.
Yeah, absolutely.
As I'm looking back and trying to remember which is the one that I had tried, there is something called Whimsical, and I'm not sure if this is the one that I've tried. But is this something you guys have explored or have had somebody on the podcast to talk about?
Yeah, it's something that I use, and where I currently work, we use it in house. Yep.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yep.
Maybe I will host you on our podcast, Matt.
Yeah, I'd love to be a guest. That'd be fun.
We actually did it once, but we didn't find guests for what was it? Azure, Microsoft, like
DevOps or the
DevOps. I think DevOps.
It might have been DevOps during the.
So we talked about it.
I think that's what that was. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because we're users of that.
What did you think about Whimsical, Faith? Just what was your take on it?
It was last June. I see that I have an email. So obviously I signed up for it at some point, but I haven't continued to use it. It looked really powerful. I think that emphasis on team alignment wasn't that important to me. And, sometimes when you have a tool that works and you need to get something done, a lot of times it's easier to keep going. And I guess that's not necessarily a great thing. I do try to keep an eye out for what is new and what's coming out and see just where people are going in this space for tooling. But ultimately I haven't yet found something in Lucidchart where I haven't been able to do, and I needed some other solution. So there hasn't been that unmet need that's really compelled me to do a detailed evaluation of another tool. This looks similar. This looks interesting, though. I mean, Matt, are you using the team features? I see that they're really pushing their utility for.
It does well with it does well with team collaboration and stuff like that. So that's something that really does well. But I do find myself falling back on to Lucid. I come from a Lucid background, so Lucid, it's just clean, easy. I know how to use it. It's got a lot of the features that I enjoy, and I love diagrams. But they both have pros and cons like everything else. But yeah, I'd love to get your feedback on it if you do take a look at it. So
maybe I'll take another look. I'm curious if the rest of you are working in organizations that have more highly differentiated product functions. In my case, in my current role, and in general, I've been in companies that smaller companies where we have to wear all the hats. So that really kind of dampens. There's not necessarily the budget to have a bunch of different tools, and really, when there's only a couple of you, it's just distracting them too many. But I wonder if the rest of you are in more differentiated environments, and how that influences the choice of tools that you make.
So I think amongst the five of us here, Matt, you're the only one that actually is not kind of a freelancer or you're working for a specific company, because Tracy, you freelance or for experimentation.
Yeah.
I don't know if freelancing is the right word or consulting is the right word, because people don't like these words. And Jackie for coaching, product coaching, right? So Matt, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I've worked in large companies down to consulting companies, and you get the pros and cons. So with large companies, you kind of get stuck in whatever tool is there, and you don't get access to certain things. You get access to specifically what your job requires. And I do a podcast where we talk about products, so I try to get into any product I can, and to get my hands on it, because I'm curious by nature. So in large companies, it is harder to get access. Smaller companies, you definitely get more access to different things. And then the ability to change products. You might be using something today, and then the ability to switch to something tomorrow is more flexible, and having that input. So yeah, depending on the size of the company, I think what it comes down to, your flexibility and ultimately the budget of the company. Hey, we have this, all of our people know how to use it. We're not going to pull it out at this point. But in smaller companies, you get a lot more flexibility.
Yeah. Very nice. So let's go to maybe.
I just looked at the Whimsical website.
Yes.
Sorry, I was just saying, I looked at the Whimsical website. It is cool. So maybe it's all bells and whistles, but the website's really cool and pretty.
Yeah, and they're introducing some AI too. So I was curious, Faith, have you seen any AI with Lucid yet? I haven't seen AI. I haven't seen them implement AI, I don't think so. And I'm an AI.
I think just
fanatic.
recently their newsletter might have mentioned something,
Okay.
and I haven't had a chance really to dig in.
Okay.
I would think that they would. I'm not sure where it would really fit well, either for Lucidchart or for the rest of their ecosystem. But everybody is getting on that bandwagon, right? Like whether there's a real good reason to have AI in your tool or not, I don't know if you guys are seeing this too.
It's everywhere.
There's just the pressure to say, well, AI is big, so we need to have something that we can hang AI on in our product. Like whether it helps our users or not, we need to put something out there so that we can say we're AI enabled too. So I think there's a lot of great uses, but I feel like there's also a lot of companies who are just sort of going, yeah, we have that too.
We have it. Yes. Checking the box, right?
Right.
And it's not necessarily AI. Let me just stop there 1 second. I'm going to bring Alex. Hey, Alex, how are you?
Hey, doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Alex.
Welcome to the show. And Alex was with us talking about design systems. He actually
episode 87.
Yes, 87.
Yep.
He's built the whole design system from the the really grassroots efforts at what's the name of the company?
T. Rowe Price.
T. Rowe Price, yes, thank you. And it's been a huge success over there. And I was always like, I met him in a conference at a UXDX conference that he was talking about it. And I always heard about the design systems, but to me, they were always like, and I was in process of trying to build one with our designers, or talking at least about building one with the designers. And it always felt to me like a unicorn over there of something that people are talking about it, but is it real? So I was really impressed when he talked about what he did.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it can be a challenge to get it off the ground, especially given the size of an organization. I'm not sure which one you were at the time, but it requires a lot more than just getting your design and developers involved. It requires like more organizational change. So a company has to be ready for that, as well as the change to the way that they work on the design and development front.
Yeah.
And
we were just talking about in general wireframes tools, and then we went to other tools, and we talked, and we got to AI, because this is like the end results of every discussion that we're talking about these days. That happened in our first hour as well with a guest that we had there. So if you're interested to hear, it was a really interesting discussion about a bit of the balance between what should be AI based and what should not be AI based and stuff like that. Jackie, maybe I'll ask you, if we're already talking about AI, do you see in product coaching anything that AI should be part of or not?
Well, there's obviously a huge opportunity for product coaches to teach organizations how to incorporate AI as needed. And I've seen a lot of my product coaching friends and those in the Product Coach Academy who have either pivoted to coaching and training around AI, best practices, that kind of thing, or have just added it to their service offerings. And I actually heard a really interesting, where did I see this? I literally saw this today. Someone said, your job is not going to be replaced by AI. It's going to be replaced by someone that knows how to use it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty.
And I think we had, I think that was actually the end result of the episode. We talked with Magali. She was here in the last hour, and she was, I think, the first guest that we talked with specifically about AI tools. I'm almost thinking now, do we need to have another podcast called AI Product for Product, or it's okay to keep the name?
Why not? Let's shoot for the stars.
Y'all can pivot.
Yes.
I think you should ask ChatGPT if you should do that.
We did it in the last hour, and it didn't really work very well.
We'll tweak our prompts. We'll get it to say what we wanted to say.
I'm always asking people.
Sorry.
Are you nicer to Siri and Alexa? Are you nicer to Siri and Alexa or your ChatGPT tool?
I saw that. What did the people say?
I think everyone is like, you end up yelling at Siri and Alexa because they don't even listen.
Yeah,
that's very true.
But
that's it.
But and then also, like, is your GPT friend, like, are they? What's going to happen if you're not nice to them over time as they learn about you?
I saw a really interesting study on this. Somebody did some scientific study on prompts, and if you get aggressive with ChatGPT, it actually responds better than if you don't. And so it was a scientific paper on it. So
really?
I'll try to dig it up and post it somewhere.
Really?
But yeah, people are always trying to do experiments with this, with prompt engineering. Right. So if you antagonize it or say you're not doing well, it tries to keep getting better. It gives you better results than if you say, "Oh, nice try," and you're pleasant to it. it doesn't respond as well. Yeah,
that's very interesting.
I know.
I can tell you that I did notice really in the last few months. I don't know if it's just me, but I noticed that Alexa is understanding us less and less than she did before. I don't know if she become worse than she used to be, or our accent, or I'm getting older and she just doesn't understand me anymore. I don't know what it is.
I think
she's
the
aging.
tools,
That's the problem.
that too. I think the tools around us are getting better, which makes others maybe.
That's a great point.
Look.
Yeah. Well, that's what Siri's suffering from, right? I mean, when my daughter and I talk to Siri, and it's very frustrating. Siri doesn't even doesn't give me the answers we're looking for.
I never
gives
used
us,
Siri. Yeah, I never used
gives
it.
us links to stuff, and at this point, I don't want links, so I just have I use my iPhone. Uses the automation of the iPhone, and it just pulls up my ChatGPT voice, and I just talk to ChatGPT directly through the voice control, and so it talks right back. Last night I asked about skin toner. My daughter had a question about skin toner, and we were challenging each other for what skin toner actually is. I asked ChatGPT, and it schooled me on it. So yeah, so I don't ask Siri for anything anymore, really.
Yeah.
The other day I asked Siri to text my friend, and she goes, "I don't know who your father is."
There you go.
What are you even listening to? Yeah.
So Apple needs to get in the game here, I think. So
well, there is an interesting point there. Your point, Alex, that other tools become better, then maybe it's a relative thing. But another point there to the entrepreneurs around us that, you don't be discouraged by the existence of a specific tool. There might be better ways to do that and create something even better.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think that this drive towards, it's the hot topic. It's going to continue to be the hot topic, I think, for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
But I think it really just points at making sure that we're building things and designing things in a structured way. So that way we could use that structured data to our advantage and then build better products over time. And I relate that back thinking about my role in the design system space. And I'm thinking about the components and the building blocks of these pages, these web pages that we're creating. And for those that may not have familiarity with design systems provide you a unified language and set of components and assets to construct web pages and mobile app experiences with less effort than it would take to build all of that on your own. So then if you take that and you think, okay, well, how do I structure that consistently across the entire system? Could then some other tool be baked into that process to help make decisions? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're changing your brand colors or something like that. I think that probably, I don't see a point in the near future where someone's not going to want to weigh in on those types of decisions. They're probably not going to just be auto pushed to an end user, but those decisions can be informed by, or those designs can be informed by generative AI. And then you could take those and iterate on a process or iterate on the designs that go into the components of your design system. So when you're talking about taking an entrepreneurial lens here, I would say that find the opportunities where you can structure your data in a way that you could make use of these AI tools, and maybe that building that into your product could get you further. And then take yourself and put yourself in a stronger position than maybe some of your competitors.
Yeah. But one thing that I'm interested to hear from you specifically, because design system is a very visual thing. It's intended for visual interface, etc. The way we interact, with voice or other type of interactions that we have with technology these days, are they also design systems, or does it go that way as well, to say this is the right way to build a product that has these type of interfaces? Because it is an interface. A voice is a type of interface that people are used to use, right? Or if you have IoT and you have different sensors and stuff like that, these are also a type of interface. They're much more technical maybe, but it's still an interface.
Yeah, I definitely think that design systems could apply to kind of voice interface design. If you abstract away what a design or abstract the design system concept a little bit, you're actually just coming up with centralized patterns that can be reused again and again in a consistent way that brings a better experience to the user. So if we think about that in terms of like kind of a conversational experience, you may want to have a set tone for the way that whatever product you have is interfacing with that end user. And then beyond that tone, like the different avenues of the conversation, how that type of how that structure will end up being set up. So it's not something that I've got into within design systems, because where I've worked, it hasn't been a need. There's not been a need for that, but I could see how that a similar concept could apply for that type of medium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's really interesting how, we sometimes, when technology becomes more and more evolved and there are different interfaces like that, we start thinking about these type of layers rather than just this is a product. It's not just a product, it's a way of interaction. It's something completely different.
Definitely.
Yeah. Very nice, very nice. So Jackie had to leave. So she just dropped off. So what else is interesting in your world these days other than AI? Are you building something new?
Oh, you wanted to leave AI? That's too bad. Because I actually had a question about AI.
Oh, so let's stay in
keep it
AI
going.
for sure.
I won't turn it away.
Listen, we said this will be about the state of product for product, and it is AI. So what can we do?
Well, I'm curious what you guys are hearing, or what you're hearing about how other people are handling this kind of thing. So I recently did an experiment. I'm collaborating with a product manager at a partner company, and AI came up, and we said, well, let's do an experiment. Let's just tell ChatGPT what our feature is, what we're trying to accomplish, what's the business goal, and then just ask it, like, tell me what give me a start on the user stories. And so I started by saying, well, okay, I want you to give me some user stories. Here's the overall topic. And I asked it, tell me what you understand about user stories. What format are you going to use? And ChatGPT told me, and it was going to use the Connextra format. And I was like, great. So, okay, so here's what we think. And I provided a few more details. And I actually did it two different ways. One was, I just talked at some length about what we had decided we thought that our new thing needed to do. And we did get a whole bunch of stories, and they were structured properly. And, I asked it to convert it into a table because I like to work with them in a, worksheet. And so did that. It was all great. I tried a second experiment where I told it next to nothing, like almost nothing, got many fewer user stories, but in a way it was a little bit better. The one big takeaway was how convenient it was to reformat and structure stuff off to just the natural language. And then the other thing, that when I gave it less detail, it actually identified additional actors, and it identified system administrator as a role that might have stories to satisfy, and which I hadn't occurred to me.
Considered, yeah.
So that was a benefit, but overall, it wasn't that useful of content. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if you all have tried to use any AI tools at sort of that level of just here's a bunch of stuff about what we think we want, and now can you structure that for me, and how that's gone.
Well, interesting enough, in the last hour, we had a guest, Sumit, who is building something like that. He's building a product called ProdHub.
Yep.
And I'm going to look at his after. It looks interesting.
Yep. Yes. And we had a very interesting discussion about the balance there between, how much you need to tell it versus how much you want it to give it to you, whether this is something that you're taking away from people that really need to do the work and do the research and find what needs to be done, versus just getting the AI to feed you and trust it, right?
Yep.
So there were some really interesting point of views there. And one of the things that he mentioned that was really interesting was that one of his clients on the executive level told him he actually doesn't want their users to fully utilize it for tell me everything. They wanted them to do the work first and create a context for what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of summarizing this, but if you listen to that first hour, that will be really an interesting point there.
And his product is prodhub.ai.
Yeah.
.ai. Right.
Yeah.
I'll
You can connect with him. I'm sure he will be happy to speak with you about that.
Mm-hmm.
Every guest of our podcast, we're trying to really create a community over here to help each other.
For sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alex. Oh no, you go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, just to touch on Faith, what you were mentioning when you were trying to go for creative versus kind of more rigid model. I think that all comes down to the prompt engineering, that whole realm, that whole space right now. So if you're looking for a wide array of answers, then you just give it as like a little piece of information to see where it goes. Now, you might not always want that. And what I tend to do in those cases is ask it for something broad, get creative, and then go deeper, and then go deeper and go deeper until I have something that's really structured the way that I want it. And then I start asking questions about that to improve what I'm already giving it.
Take it iteratively then.
Yeah, that's a key. That's a great point, Alex. I think I mentioned that to you, Moshe. Like, you don't have to give it all. Like, allow it to be creative. It's good at that. It's using data that it knows, and so if you prescribe everything to it, you're not allowing the freedom to innovate for itself. But you also don't want it to like hit the easy button and just tell me anything that's wild. So I always take approach of trying to give enough information and keeping in mind that it's collaborative effort. Like, it's not, I keep thinking of it as an assistant, but it's not really an assistant. I don't want to tell it to do, hey, I need you to do this. I want you to collaborate with me. I'm stuck on something. I need your help. Unblock me. Help me improve what I'm already written. And so that's where I'm always thinking about it. So I start kind of small, not too small, but I'm thinking of the three bear analogy here. But start with enough information and then iterate along the way. Say, no, that's not what I want, because sometimes you can get a long answer. So let's shorten it. Make it a little more like this. Make it a little more like this. So iteration is key, but the prompt to start is also very important.
Yeah. It would be really interesting for us maybe to find someone that is a product manager like you, really, but a product manager and more of like prompt engineer. So someone that is kind of developed their skills in prompt engineering. I don't know if there are positions like that these days of people that this is what they do. I'm a prompt engineer.
It's a job. Yeah, it's a job, and it pays extremely well, apparently. From some of the jobs. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in prompt engineering.
So Gen AI created new jobs descriptions.
Well, to Jackie's point earlier, that we won't be replaced by AI. We'll replace by people who know how to use AI. So, then generalized AI. We're all talking about generalized AI when we're in this.
But I think that one of the problems is that, and maybe that's me looking at the young generation. I'm looking at my kids. I'm looking at my students. That sometimes they feel they don't know the difference yet between the two. So they think like, okay, I will use AI and that's the results that I'm going to create. Versus I'm using AI to help me, but I'm still need to be there to make sense.
Human in the loop.
Right.
I still think you have to have a human in the loop. And when it comes to product management, AI is going to be a great benefit to product managers that know how to use it and leverage it. Because what it can do well is take off some of that work that might be time consuming to where you can think about execution, strategy, a lot of these human capacities that we can still handle and that we can go and actually put our hands on and control. Where AI can go off and do some of the documentation, stories and stuff like that, where it can learn from what you're doing, know what you're expecting of it, like to your point, Faith, like if you give it the information, it's going to learn and say, okay, based upon last time you asked me for this and you made me modify it to this point, I'm going to know next time what you're expecting of me. And so you can give it more information. It knows what to expect and to produce that documentation. And then while you're doing that, you can go out, execute, develop strategies, and do the human power that we still have. So I see them both working well together long term, and that's my vision and my passion around it. Not as replacing us though.
Yeah,
not yet at least. So.
So I think, Moshe, I think you were about to ask Alex, I think, what he's working on next, or what has his attention next. I think
really, it was a question for both of you, because I'm always interested to hear about new things you guys are working on. We already asked you, Faith, about your go-to tool for wireframing. So maybe Alex, with you about design systems, have you built something really new and cool recently, or it's going on with the same? Moving it throughout the company?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think we are at a really great stage with our design system. We've got more adoption than the last time that we spoke, which is one of those key metrics. But at some point, you also need to optimize the way that the design system actually runs and provide more tools around the components that exist to ensure a really strong developer experience and design experience. So there's been a lot of great work in the space of theming and motion and other areas of kind of modern UI design. And that's really something that we're focusing on within our technical implementation. I think that's being focused on throughout the industry. Those are two areas where it's setting a lot of design systems and companies apart from competitors. It's just adding on to the functionality of what is standard across the board, like your buttons, your input fields. Everyone has those, but how do you separate yourself out from all of these other organizations trying to do the same thing? And in some cases, that's just making sure that you are more consistent. Maybe you have a lot of inconsistency across your organization's domain, but once you have more consistency, what can you do to then optimize and make small changes to those experiences to really drive people to those sites and want to stay there? So that's, I think, so depending on the stage of the design system where we are, that's one area that we're looking at. We're also, we've got a number of other focus areas, but that's one thing to touch on.
Cool, thank you. And while you were telling us about that, we had a new guest coming in. Hey, Dan, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, I'm sorry to just jump in. I wasn't sure if the timing is. I know you kind of schedule stuff. I just wanted to say hi and jump in.
Yeah, no worries.
Listen, we have another 8 minutes.
It's a free for all.
So it's good, and we had people coming in for a few minutes just to say hi. We have more people coming for longer than that to have a discussion. We had some very cool discussions about AI both in the first hour and in the second hour.
Nice.
I think we can't run away from that.
Yes,
that's right. That might be the state of product. That was that's the topic of this show.
I just recently decided to jump in. It's funny because I've been fortunate to live through the internet disruption came along, mobile disruption came along, multiple disruptions. And then, AI is the latest one. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to jump in. So I'm actually working on a new talk, kind of like Gen AI focused on discovery. Specifically, how can you use Gen AI to do a better job as a product manager, as a product team designer for product discovery? And I've been playing around. It's been a lot of fun. So it's kind of fun to be learning, and I'll be giving a new talk in April on that. So I'm excited.
Oh, very nice. If you need some beta users to listen to it or give you feedback, let us know. We will be all.
That'd be awesome. No, that'd be great. I was thinking about it. If I have time, it'd be great to do that.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
I mean, it's almost like become a default go-to discussion in every call that we have, and also today with everyone that came in here. So it's really, and we even joke that we might need to spin off another podcast, Gen AI or AI product for product.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, do you create your own channel on Gen AI? Do you just blend it in with the other product stuff? I probably might. Right now, I would just blend it in. It's so crazy. I'm on these newsletters, and every day there's so many new announcements and changes. It's so chaotic and developing, you know.
It is chaotic, absolutely.
There's actually good posts about people talking about, like, at a meta level, the state of Gen AI. Where are we? Is it like, you know, how's it going to play out? There's been some really good articles out there talking about that kind of stuff, like, you know, but
yeah. I think some of the things that came up from the previous discussions was it's a bit, you know, the balance, making your own work, but and not, you know, give AI to do your work for you.
Yes.
And then that we will not be replaced by AI, but we will be replaced by people that know how to utilize AI.
I agree.
So I agree. These were the three highlights there.
Yeah, I have one highlight to share with you. My takeaway so far is we all know from like design and product management, like the double diamond or like a single diamond of like you diverge, right?
Yes.
You brainstorm, you explore, and then you converge, you evaluate, and you prune.
Yes.
My high level mental model is Gen AI is great for helping you with that exploration, divergent thinking space, like, you know, exploring the possibilities. It's not that great at helping you prioritize those and making judgment calls on those. So that's where I think the PM stuff, but so that's kind of my high level mental model right now for the talk is the diamond, diamond expanding and converging. And AI is great for helping you explore what I'm calling a possibility space. Yep. And then it's up to you to apply the judgment and intuition and data to prioritize accordingly in a smart way.
Absolutely.
That nails it. I mean, it comes down to the strategy and execution, like actually taking that and executing on it. Like AI can't do that yet.
Right.
So
I tried. I was like, hey, I have it. I had it go, and it was great. If you ask it the right questions, you can get it to really explore. You know, I always talk about the problem space. Like I had it exploring the problem space for me and coming up with all kinds, 20 at a time. You know, I was like, give me 100, and it only listed 20. I'm like, damn it. Why you only? But then I said, great, out of all the things you said, please prioritize them on a scale of 1 through 5. Yes. And again, it limited it to 20, and it wasn't the best prioritization. You can't prioritize, right? Yeah.
That was something very similar to that I did in the first few days of ChatGPT to try to see, does it know the things that I know? And when I saw that it doesn't really know everything that I know, I was like, I don't know if I trust this thing.
Yeah, you can't trust it. That's basically what you you can't trust it. You can use it to explore, but you can't trust it. And that's what's funny is when you do ChatGPT in an area you don't know stuff about, you're like, oh, that sounds good. When you do it in an area you have deep expertise in, you're like, that's about 70% right, but this one thing is not
right.
It sounds good. Sounds good on TV. Sounds good on social media. You know, it's funny. Like, I remember I was asking it how to like come up with a product strategy or something, and it said, you need to prioritize things into primary, secondary, and tertiary. I'm like, okay, that sounds great, but like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what does that even mean? If you weren't a PM, you'd be like, ooh, that sounds good. I'm like, okay, okay, but based on what?
We have 2 more minutes for the live show to end, and we actually have a few recording of some people that could not join us. So I want to play them now, maybe. So thank you so much, Dan and Alex, for being there. I really appreciate. Matt and I really appreciate the time that you took off your day today and share with us, and the time that you came as a guest. And we always welcome you to come again as a guest to our show.
Yeah, congrats on episode 100. This is very exciting.
Awesome. Thank you both so much.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you so much. So we still, like I said, we have a couple of more minutes, and for the guests that are still here, we would love you to tell us that you're here. I'm going to play now a couple of videos that we got from some of our past guests. So stay here and watch these videos.
Hi, Moshe and Matt. I wanted to congratulate you on your 100th podcast. It's a tough world out there. Podcasts abound on product management, but you guys stood out. You've had me both as a guest. I've listened to many episodes of yours, always well-researched, thorough questions. Really appreciate the innovation that you've brought to the product world through various topics that you've discussed over your 100 episodes. I want to congratulate you and wish you 100 more.
Thank you, Paul, for that.
Thank you, Paul. Awesome.
Yes, and then we have a couple of others. I hope we still have time to hear.
Hi, Moshe. Nils Janse here. Big congrats on your 100th episode coming up. If I was going to say one thing on the a state of product for product. It's the angle on generative AI that has to do with AI agents, because I think the next frontier coming towards us is that we will work a lot more closely with different types of AI agents that we collaborate with. And so as a maker of a product for product managers, to be sure that your product can interact with those agents, building APIs and so forth. I think that will be critical. Best of luck.
Thank you so much for Niels. And one last one from Henry.
Hi guys, congratulations on getting to 100 episodes. I think I saw a stat that only 1% of podcasts make it to even 20 episodes. So you're in a very small, committed and resilient minority. State of product, what do I think? Predictions. One big trend that I'm seeing, I'm obviously biased with the new business I've started, is people getting out of product. I think many product managers are fed up with the lack of vision and strategy they find in most companies, the lack of coaching and career support they're getting, and layoffs have been a big wake-up call. I think those that have been laid off have realized that they need to start something else, start their own thing. And even those that haven't have been made aware that they want to be in control of their destinies, right? Their careers, their lives in some way. So prediction is we're going to see many more small businesses starting, many more sort of solopreneurs bringing this depth of product knowledge into launching their own businesses.
Very nice. Thank you so much,
Henry.
Henry, for that as well. So that's it. This is episode 100. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. I need a celebration button on here. That's what
yes,
we need. Feature enhancement. I need
Absolutely.
a celebration button.
Yes.
But that was a lot of fun. Thank you to everyone that showed up.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you for our guests, for watching it. Send us a DM if you watched it, and we will do a draw and we will announce it on LinkedIn. And thank you, Matt, for being my co-host and champion on this. I really enjoyed doing it with you.
Couldn't do it without you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that's made this possible along the way and encouraged us to get to this number. We really appreciate it, and we'll aim for 200 in the years to come. So hopefully we'll keep it rolling. And if you're open to being a guest, open to feedback always, please send it our way, and we'll talk to everybody next time.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.